Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I hope you all are doing well. This is Dr. Nicole Edwards, board certified family medicine physician, and you are tuned in to Talk with the Doc. Please go ahead, like, share, and follow our page so that you can get updates on when we go live. But every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come live to give you tips and wellness ideas and information so that you can help live a whole person healthy life. All right, well, today, this is the start of my kids' spring break. I don't know how many of you guys are starting spring break too. Maybe you're just wrapping up spring break, but as we go into the spring season, we know it's spring break. So if you are a parent or a caregiver for children or for anybody that's having spring break, this is the show that you want to watch today. We're going to give you some tips on how you can survive spring break. So go ahead and share this video with all the parents and other caregivers that you know so that you can get some tips on how to survive spring break. Today is also the kickoff of the World Parkinson's Week. All right, so we are going to be talking about Parkinson's disease today on Talk with the Doc. All right, so you guys ready to get started? Absolutely, let's jump right in. As like we said before, I'm Dr. Nicole Edwards, board certified family medicine physician. I specialize in managing and treating chronic medical conditions and explaining those conditions in terms that everyday people can understand. I help parents, caregivers, busy professionals, and veterans to live their best lives, whole person healthy, mind, body, spirit, and finances. We are sponsored today by Abundantly Natural. It's an all-natural health, wellness, and supplement line. You can reach our line at drnicoledo.com. That's drnicoledo.com/shop, and you can get to all of our natural healthy supplements and vitamins. All right. We're also sponsored by Abundant Life Concierge. It is a medical practice for convenience. All right. So if you are a busy professional, busy parent, busy caregiver, busy veteran, then you would want to check out Abundant Life Concierge Medicine. We provide medicine for everyone in a very convenient manner. All right. So again, thank you guys so much for watching us today on Talk with the Doc live on YouTube, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, feel free to click like, share, and follow. All right. It's spring break. Yay. Are you guys excited? I know I am already tired. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm already tired. The kids are excited. They are, according to them, their spring break doesn't start until tomorrow. We keep trying to tell them, no, frickin' frack. It started Friday as soon as school was over. Believe me, all my teacher friends, the second them kids walked out the door, the teachers was walking out right behind them on spring break. If you know that to be true, make some noise in the comments. All right, so spring break is starting. So what are you guys doing for spring break? Are you just staying home? Lots of people are doing that, right? Taking advantage of, maybe they're not going anywhere. I know that there are lots of camps out for kids who parents still have to work. It's not spring break sometimes for the caregivers. We don't get necessarily a break. We don't just get a week off from work just because the kids get a week off from school. So I know sometimes that can be stressful to try and find childcare for your children during their spring break, but there are lots of programs out there. I know, like my kids' Taekwondo and even our former kids' Taekwondo classes, they offer Taekwondo camps or spring break camps. I know that down at the local Y, they offer spring break camps. And so parents, if you are looking for a place to keep your kids during spring break, then look into those camps. They're a really great idea. Keeps the kids socialized, keeps the kids safe while they're on break. All right, but maybe you are going somewhere. I know that we are going to take a little road trip. We are going to go to an indoor water park. And so I wanted to give some tips real quick on how to survive spring break. Like I said, my kids are 7 and 9. I have a boy and a girl. They sometimes love each other dearly, best friends. And sometimes they are at each other's throats like alley cats. And so sometimes it's a lot of stress on me and my husband as parents because it's like, oh my gosh, let's just send them to their separate corners. So if you are going to be traveling during spring break, one thing that I advise is to make sure that you have things for the kids to do. All right, go ahead and plan it out, write it out, list it out. Make sure you've got activities for them to do. It doesn't always have to be electronics. Yeah, they have iPads. Yeah, they have their video games. Yeah, they have their little, whatever their little video games, their switches and their, all those things. Okay, that's great too, but we do know the American Academy of Pediatrics says to limit screen time, all right? So while screens can come in handy, we do want it to not only have screens. So what else can you do? They can have things to draw, all right? Teach them how to draw, teach them how to write. Coloring books, that's another good one. Make sure that they have plenty to do in terms of sports and activities where they can get up and run around. Now, if you're taking a road trip, they're not going to be running around too much, but make sure you've got books in the car. Make sure you've got some healthy snacks in the car. Make sure you send them to the bathroom before you get on the road, and make sure you're taking lots of trips. On your breaks, when you're pulling over to get gas or to gas up, make sure that the kids are getting out, maybe running around in a field a little bit when they stop to go use the bathroom, so that they can get out and kind of get their energy out, all right? Some people like to plan their vacations to leave closer to the evening time so that they drive through the night so that the kids are asleep during the times that they're on the road. It saves you, parents and caregivers, the stress of hearing, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" every 5 minutes, right? If you're driving while they're asleep. Another great idea, I told my husband this one today, get the headphones. Make sure the kids have headphones. They can play their music, their video games, whatever, as loud as they want, as long as they have headphones, and it doesn't have to bother you. All right, we're trying to do things as stress-free as possible for this spring break. All right, another great tip for spring break is do not make the whole trip chock full of activities. You do need a day to just woo-saw, relax, relate, release, chillax, sleep in, and do nothing. All right, it is spring break, as in take a break, as in you don't have to be ripping and running and doing stuff 24/7 the whole time. All right, so make sure, guys, that you break on spring break. All right, so you don't have a breakdown. All right, and so you do want to plan some activities and some fun things, but don't chalk the whole thing up. All right, you got to also be flexible. You got to roll with the punches. You know, maybe you was planning on doing a nice cookout or barbecue one day and then it rains. Oh boy, don't get bent out of shape. Just roll with the punches. Move it to inside. Move it to a covered area. Just be willing to be flexible with your plans. All right, don't be rigid, because when we're rigid, then it makes it harder for us to accept what things are coming at us. All right, so it's easier to deal with things when we kind of have a looser plan. All right, and then the last thing that I love to say to parents is to make sure that you have a day, maybe even 2 days at the end of the break planned to recuperate from the break. Okay, so maybe you are busy a lot during the break. Well, you don't want to come back on Sunday night and then the kids run back to school and you've got to go back to work on Monday. All right, so make sure that you have time to recuperate. I know that we plan not only the spring break week, but we also plan a recuperation for my husband and I after spring break. All right, so maybe a weekend after the spring break is just our time to woo-saw, relax, relate, release, have a kid-free time, and to just not do anything. All right, so make sure that you are doing that. So again, don't chalk your weekend too full, but make sure you do have activities planned for the kids. Make it fun. All right, make it fun. This is their break. They have been working hard at school. All right, doing their job. So make sure that they are having fun this spring break. Also, make sure that you are chronicling your break. All right, take pictures. All right, they last a lifetime. And a lot of times we might not have a lot of money to do things while we're on the break, but I promise you the memories will last a lifetime, and the kids won't forget the great things that you guys have done together. I promise you, this past weekend, we went to a little carnival. One of the little local towns, a small town, was doing a carnival, Swamp Fest or something at a carnival, and they had little carnival rides, and my kids already have said that this is the best weekend ever, the best spring break ever. And all we did was walk around, get on some rides, eat some carnival food, which they don't usually get to eat stuff like that. So they enjoyed themselves. Best weekend ever, they said. I'm the best mom ever. Dad's the best dad ever, because we exposed them to something new. So guys, it doesn't take a lot to put a smile on a kid's face. A lot of times it's just spending time with them. All right, spending quality time with them. But make sure that in that you have time to recuperate and to get your own sanity back. All right. So again, if you guys are going on spring break this week, congratulations. You've made it already through 200 something days of the school year. We only have about 50 something days left to go of the school year. So the kids are excited, but enjoy your spring break this week. All right. All right. So again, happy spring break to all the parents and caregivers out there. All right, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about today on Talk with the Doc. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm Dr. Nicole Edwards, board certified family medicine physician. This is Talk with the Doc, our weekly talk show that we have live every Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about health issues and everyday tips for caregivers, veterans, and the busy professionals. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on all social media, Dr. Nicole D.O., my website, drnicoledo.com. We are sponsored by Abundantly Natural and Abundant Life Concierge. All right, this week coming up, guys, is the Parkinson's Awareness Week. All right. Tomorrow is actually the World Parkinson's Day. I'm just going to read this to you. It says World Parkinson's Day is to raise awareness of Parkinson's disease. It's promoting a greater understanding of this condition and how it can affect a person. All right, so we're going to talk just briefly about what is Parkinson's disease. I do want to list, there are quite a few celebrities out there that have Parkinson's. I'm going to just run through the list real quick. Some of them are very well known that you have known about. Maybe you didn't know that they had Parkinson's. Maybe you was like, oh, that's why they got off the scene. Michael J. Fox. All right. And he was very young when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Muhammad Ali. All right. Robin Williams, before he passed, he had Parkinson's. Billy Graham. Okay. Charles Schultz, you know, the guy who wrote Peanuts, and Charlie Brown. Charles Schultz had Parkinson's. Neil Diamond. Ozzy Osbourne has Parkinson's. And then so those are just some of the people, some of the well-known celebrities that we know with Parkinson's. So what is Parkinson's? Okay, what is Parkinson's? Parkinson's disease is a it's a neurodegenerative disease. Oh, what does that mean, Dr. Nicole? Okay, so neuro, your brain, and the neurons are the brain cells in your brain. Degenerative means they're breaking down. So it's a breakdown of the cells in your brain. All right. Now, the cells in our brain have to fire to communicate with the other cells in the brain. And they do this with different ways. We've talked about that with the synapses and the transmission of the brain signals. But with Parkinson's, there's a area in the brain that is affected, and it lowers the dopamine. Okay, so dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain. It's a chemical in the brain that, think of dopamine as the brain's gas pedal. So when we push on the gas, what does our car do? It goes, right? So same thing with dopamine. With dopamine, it helps us to go. It helps us to move. It helps us to start movement and accelerate with movement. So when we are losing dopamine, we lose movement. Okay, so this with Parkinson's, we are losing a portion of the brain and the cells in the brain that make the dopamine. Okay, so once we start to lose dopamine, we can start to have different symptoms. Symptoms such as the most common one that you see with people is a tremor. Okay, so a lot of times it'll start with one side, a one-sided tremor. All right. So that can happen either in your hand, in your foot, in your leg. This is different from a resting tremor, which is, this is a resting tremor. This is different from a when you're trying to do something and you get a tremor. And those people who have an intentional tremor, they go to reach for something and then their hands shake. All right. They go to eat their food and then their hands shake. And usually that happens on both sides. But with Parkinson's, it's only happening on one side. All right. So the tremor is usually the first thing that we see. We also see slowed down movements. Remember, I told you dopamine is the gas pedal. That's what's making you go. So we see these slow movements with people that have Parkinson's. We call it almost like a cogwheel rigidity. When they go to try to move, everything moves very rigid, very stiff. It's like it doesn't, like it's lost its WD-40. All right. So we call that the slowing down of movements. It's technically called Brady, which is slow, kinesia, which is movement. All right. So slowing down of movements. Again, we see the rigid, stiff muscles. All right. So things get very tight because again, your brain is losing the ability to tell the muscles to move, to relax, to extend, to move. Okay. We see an unsteady gait pattern or unsteady walking. You have balance and coordination problems. You see the spasms and the twitching and the cramps. Okay. And then we often see this hunched over posture in people that have Parkinson's. All right. We also see what we call it blank faces. They have very, almost like the face almost looks more like a mannequin, like it's not moving. All right. Because again, those muscle synapses are not firing. And so we lose the ability to move the muscles. And, you know, there's like 74 muscles in our face. Right. And so we lose the ability to move those muscles. So things like eating can become very difficult. Things like smiling, things like chewing, and things like talking can become very difficult. Your speech and your voice can change. All right. The handwriting changes. That's one of the first signs that we see with people. Their handwriting gets their letters get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you can't read the handwriting anymore. A lot of times with people with Parkinson's, the family members can see these signs and symptoms first. They can see the small tremor. They can see the handwriting changes. They can see kind of the blankness to the face. All right. All of this can also come with things like as the Parkinson's progresses and gets worsened, you can get memory problems, you can get dementia. All right. So they have problems, like I said, with their speech, problems with vocalizing, and problems with dementia. They can't remember things anymore. All right. You can also get problems with your urine and with your bowels, because again, we're losing the ability for our muscles to fire, and so you can't use your muscles anymore, and so you lose your sphincter control and you lose your ability to you have problems urinating. All right, so all of these things can be signs and symptoms of Parkinson's. Here's the thing: there is no cure for Parkinson's as of right now. All right, so we don't have a cure for Parkinson's. We do have medications out for Parkinson's, but those treat the symptoms. So based on whatever the symptoms are, we can treat with medications to treat it, but we don't have a cure as of yet. So people are raising money to try and find a cure for Parkinson's, and then to try to assist people who have Parkinson's, because you essentially, as Parkinson's progresses, you do need care. Okay. You're going to need a caregiver. And remember, talked with the doc, and Dr. Nicole is all about supporting caregivers. So if you're a caregiver out there and you're caring for somebody that may have Parkinson's, my heart goes out to you. My support goes out to you, because I know that can be difficult. All right. So you go from somebody who could take care of themselves completely to now they're degenerating and you're having to watch that. Okay. So I know that that can be hard mentally on you as a caregiver, but also on the person that's dealing with it as well. They have a loss of control. All right. The medications that are out there for Parkinson's help to do one of three things. One, it either stops the breakdown of the dopamine. All right. Or two, it helps to give the body more dopamine. Or three, it causes a almost like a mimicker of dopamine. So if this is a dopamine receptor, dopamine comes and sits on the receptor. This is like a something that looks like dopamine, and it comes and sits in the receptor, and it helps the body to gain some of that movement back. All right. Now, of course, medication is not without its side effects. And so a lot of times while we're treating Parkinson's, we're also having to treat some of the side effects that come along with it. All right. So Parkinson's is not an easy disease to have. And it's very it can be very taxing, both on the person that has it and on the caregiver as well. All right. So what are some things that you can do if you have Parkinson's, or if you find out you have Parkinson's, or if you are a family member and you are watching someone who you think might have Parkinson's? Well, first things first, if you're noticing these things, people with slowed movement, people with lots of spasms, their handwriting's getting smaller, their memory's going, they're having problems with tremors, they're having problems with the stooped over, they're having problems with their skin, problems with their urine, all these things, take them to the doctor. And I would hope that you haven't delayed and that you took them sooner than later. All right. So take them to the doctor. There is no specific test that we can test for Parkinson's. All right. There's not like we go in and grab this test or we run and grab this MRI. Now we do get MRIs. We do blood tests because we are looking for other things to rule out to make sure it's not. We do look at to make sure that there's no damage in the brains. We know that there's like Lewy body dementia, which is a different type of dementia, but it can be seen sometimes in people that do have Parkinson's. But you take them to the doctor, you get them on medications, you get them on treatment, you get them into therapy. Okay, so therapy is going to help with that movement, to try and help with some of that movement. We try to get them on some medications to help with the spasms, medications to help with the memory, medications to help with the tremors. All right. But I also wanted to talk to you real quick about some of the natural things that we can do. Because remember, Parkinson's is all about a lack of dopamine. So dopamine, if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I had on my good friend, Dr. Sam, and she talked about natural ways to increase dopamine. Do you remember that? Yeah. So let me just pull up what Dr. Sam talked about. Dopamine, again, enables motivation and learning and pleasure, and it gives you determination to accomplish goals. When you are lacking in dopamine, you have symptoms such as procrastination, low self-esteem, lack of motivation, fatigue, inability to focus, feeling anxious, feeling hopeless, and mood swings. So what are some natural things that you can do to help boost your dopamine? All right, meditate. And that doesn't have to be sitting in a lotus position and saying all day. All right. Sometimes meditation can just be thinking on some good things, maybe doing some journaling, maybe reading some scriptures of your choice, maybe reading something positive, thinking on some good things. There's meditation apps that are out there. There's meditation programs that you can do. There's coloring you can meditate through. So meditation is one way to increase your dopamine. So again, if you are taking care of somebody, or you yourself have early Parkinson's, these are things that you can be doing: meditating, keeping a daily to-do list, all right, setting long-term goals, foods that are rich in L-tyrosine. What is L-tyrosine? L-tyrosine is another protein that helps to increase our dopamine levels. So foods that are rich in L-tyrosine are proteins. So meats, so chicken, fish, beef, those are meats. Now, if you are vegetarian and you don't eat those, then certain types of beans, all right, are very good. Legumes are good for L-tyrosine. All right. There are also supplements and vitamins that are good with L-tyrosine. In my Abundantly Natural line, I have a supplement called Brain Basics. Brain Basics has L-tyrosine in it. It's one of the supplements. Yes, chicken is a great one. But L-tyrosine is one of the ingredients in Brain Basics, and Brain Basics helps with memory. It helps with muscles, okay, with movement, and it helps to with depression, and it helps for focus, and it helps to, again, we're building dopamine here, so it helps with movement. All right, so L-tyrosine is in the Brain Basics. You guys can get that on Abundantly Natural, drnicoledo.com/shop Brain Basics. All right. The other great way to increase your dopamine naturally is to exercise regularly. You guys know Dr. Nicole loves to exercise. Exercise doesn't have to be going to the gym. It doesn't have to be getting a personal trainer. It could be as simple as taking a walk around the block a couple of times a day. All right. We want to get 30 minutes of exercise or body movement. Exercise just means that we are increasing our heart rate for 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes all at once. It could be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes here, and another 5 minutes there. All right. But increasing your heart rate and exercise, that helps to increase dopamine. It's like a feel good. It releases endorphins in the brain when you exercise. Dopamine is one of those. And then the last thing that you can do naturally to increase your dopamine is to create something, write something, sing, make music, do art. That's why we say when you color, then that is a great way to help calm yourself down. But it's a great way to release feel-good endorphins such as dopamine. All right. So these are ways that we can increase dopamine. Remember, Parkinson's is all about we're losing dopamine, and that is what causes the tremors, the cogwheel rigidity, the blank faces, all of these things. So we want to find natural ways to increase our dopamine. Because like I said, we can give it to you in medication, but that's not without its side effects. I'm not saying not to take your medicines. Take your medicines once your doctor prescribes them for you, but these are some natural ways that you can also support. All right. And again, if you are dealing with Parkinson's, or you are a caregiver for someone that has Parkinson's, make sure that you are reaching out for support. There are all kinds of support systems. The National Parkinson's Associations have support systems for people that have Parkinson's and people that are caregivers for people with Parkinson's. All right. There are Facebook communities. There are communities. There are programs in your community that help to give support to people that have Parkinson's. All right. So I hope you guys learned a little bit today about what is Parkinson's. Like I said, this week it is National Parkinson's Week. All right. Tomorrow is World Parkinson's Day. So if you know of someone that has Parkinson's, just let them know that you're there to support them. Ask them, what can I do to support you, right? How can I support you today? All right. And Dr. Nicole, is always here to support you and everyone that has Parkinson's, all my caregivers out there. And I thank you guys so much for joining me today with Talk with the Doc. Again, make sure that you check out Abundantly Natural, drnicoledo.com/shop. Brain Basics is a great supplement for building up dopamine in the brain, all right, and for supporting your memory, for supporting your mood, for supporting your muscle strength, and for just overall brain wellness, all right? Thank you guys so much again for joining me for Talk with the Doc. Again, if you're going on spring break, be safe, have fun, and make sure that you're doing something to woo-saw when you come back off of spring break. Make sure you're documenting and chronicling your time, because those are the moments and the memories that will last a lifetime, that your kids are going to remember and that you're going to remember. All right. And that also releases those feel good hormones in the brain as well. That's going to help you feel good, and dopamine helps you get up and go. All right. Thank you guys so much again for joining me for Talk with the Doc. We will be back next Sunday. I know it's going to be Easter, so it's going to be very brief next Sunday, but we do want to come and talk about how you can rise up over stressful times and hard times. That's what we're going to talk about next week on Easter. Those of you who are Christians, Orthodox believers, we know that we're celebrating the Christ rising from the dead. So we're going to talk about how you can rise and overcome stress and hard, difficult times. All right. Thanks again for joining me today for Talk with the Doc. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys have a great week. Happy spring break. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Please click like, share, and follow. Bye-bye.